Every so often, we get those episodes of Railgun that really makes Kuroko shine, and this episode was one of them. Hello everyone and welcome to Anime Awakening, and today we're here to talk about episode 17 of the A Certain Scientific Railgun T anime series. A really decent episode of the Railgun T series that focuses on Miyama and Kuroko as they adventure around helping stop accidents before they occur. Now, one thing that I really loved from this episode was the detail that we went into with Miyama's character, going into his backstory and the traumatic emotions that he was feeling at the time of learning and processing what his ability actually does. He had to suffer a lot as a kid, seeing future tragedies but being too powerless to actually prevent them on his own. I thought it was very heartbreaking seeing his past, especially when we got to the topic of that girl. He saw that she had a tragedy unfolding in the future, and although he tried to save her, it still didn't turn out 100% positive. She ended up with permanent, lasting effects, and she blamed him, shouting at him, telling him it's all his fault that this happened, and that it wouldn't have happened had he never used his ability to predict it. This of course caused a bit of questioning in Miyama's sort of mind, asking himself, is that really how my ability works? Nevertheless though, seeing how these events in the past sparked a sense of justice and drive to save other people within Miyama, I thought was refreshing. As throughout the episode you could see that this kid wanted/enjoyed working with Kuroko to help save other people, using his ability in a positive way. Miyama used his ability to the point of collapsing. That just shows how much he cares and how much he wanted to save other people. He called himself selfish for using Kuroko to help save his dog. And you know what? The fact that it wasn't that selfish, because his actions had a ripple effect which in turn saved a lot of other people. So I hope he does end up joining Judgment in the future, even though the episode kinda just left it ambiguous, but he is still a kid and has room to learn and grow, which I really did like. It had a very wholesome ending to quite a darkish sort of episode. So overall, in terms of Miyama's character, I found it very enjoyable and I'm glad they included his character into the series. We only had him over 2 episodes, but still I think it was a well written character, because yes, he acted childish, but he is a child. Yes, he had fear, that makes sense. Yes, he was struggling emotionally to understand and use his ability and finding his path forward in life. But together with Kuroko and his experiences, he managed to end on a very wholesome and positive note. And speaking of Kuroko, I can't say I'm a massive fan of her character, but when we get golden episodes like this one, showcasing her pride as a member of Judgment, as well as her soft, kind nature, it really does go a long way in making me like Kuroko a lot more. We got a small reference to episode 5 in where obviously we had young Kuroko take on a robber. This was referenced at the end of this episode when she mentions that she looks up to a certain person. Of course, we as the viewer know that it's Makoto Misaka. However, young Kuroko at that time never saw who helped her out on that day. But I still thought it was a nice moment and a touching scene at the end of the episode. Going back to this episode though, again, I really like the display from Kuroko. I thought it had a very mature vibe to her character. I would like to see her more involved moving forward as we go through the arc. However, she has done a lot within season 3 of Railgun T so far, so I wouldn't be surprised if she does take a backseat to give other characters a bit more screen time. Lastly on Kuroko though, seeing her with that monocle I thought was super cute. I really like that design. Plus, the interactions with Miyama over the episode were great. A team cooperation that really worked positively. As a quick note, Ueharu no longer snaps at people when they call her a hacker. Instead, she seems to embrace it to some degree, which I think is a bit of character development for Ueharu. Again, a character I'd like to see more from, because she actually hasn't had much of a chance to shine within Railgun T. Now then, the plant growing liquid from the end of episode 16 plays a great role within this episode to help burn down a park. But what really gets me excited about this was the fact that Judgment now know of the dangers of these Indian poker cards, as they can have a teaching effect on people, or even manipulating them. Even Sutton in the next episode preview mentions the fact that you can learn new things through Indian poker cards. So this tells me that the next episode will be exploring the topic of Indian poker cards even further, which excites me a lot more because I do want to learn more about this concept. Also, while talking about the next episode preview, we hear the phrase upper, which could mean that the level upper plot thread is going to return to the story. If that's the case, then that is going to be a nightmare. But on a more serious note, could Indian poker cards be linked to the mass counting of unconscious people outbreaking throughout the city? We saw that news report, and it got me thinking, have we seen an event within Index that could link with the news report? And I can't actually think of anything up to this point. But at the same time, if it's linked with Indian poker cards, then maybe they're being registered as unconscious, but they're trapped within their own dreams that they're experiencing. Either way, I'm hyped to see what happens next as we continue through this arc. Overall, I thought this was a really great episode for characters like Kuroko, Miyama, and the members of Judgment. The themes and the emotional display from different characters were a big highlight throughout this episode, giving it a bit more tension, a bit more of a darker vibe, but also ending on a really sort of positive and sweet, wholesome note. The animation looked wonderful throughout, and big credit to the animators. Let me know your thoughts on this episode in the comment section down below. I'd love to hear what you have to say on this episode. Do you agree or disagree with some of the points that I've made? One thing I will say though, please don't spoil as to what happens moving forward. I haven't seen the next episodes or what happens throughout this sort of rest of the arc, and I want to dive into each episode with fresh eyes. Apart from that though, hope you've enjoyed the review. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I'll be seeing you next time. Have a great day. Alligator, matane. Goodbye.